presentation, I will talk about ecotourism and focus specifically on the Peruvian case. Well, before talking about the ecotourism, let's focus on the importance of tourism. That it's one of the primary sectors in the Peruvian economy and in general for the global economy. It's part of it's a great importance for the gross domestic product globally. Indeed, in 2017, it was part of a 10% of the global GDP and 30% of the world service exports in 2017, as I have already said. The tourism activity uh, influences very positively in the economic growth, particularly in developing countries such as Peru. Um, Through the stimulation of infrastructure development, entrepreneurship, and especially cultural exchange due to the importance of its social impact. And now, there are certain countries that, due to the over reliance on tourism, can lead to economic vulnerability, such as, for example, Hawaii. This was evidenced during the COVID-19 pandemic. Why? Because nobody can go out of their houses. So the COVID-19 pandemic greatly impacted on the tourism sector. But this is obviously when there is an over reliance on this particular sector from a specific region, country. Let's we can talk about in this case such countries as such as Costa Rica that has that tourism has a very important part. It's one of their primary sectors, the tourism, so it really impacted. Now, it's very important to consider certain policies um, to develop a good tourism activity, especially considering the sustainable and diversified approaches. Nowadays, we are in a global system, so it's really important to talk about um, the global sustainable goals um, emphasizes by the United Nations. But now let's focus on ecotourism, that it's basically a form of sustainable travel and focuses on experiencing natural areas with conserving the environment and improving the well-being of local people. This part is very important, especially for countries such as Peru, that it's a very renowned country for its rich biodiversity and cultural heritage. Ecotourism has emerged as a crucial sector for environmental conservation and economic development. And now let's talk about a little bit of the background of ecotourism in Peru. As I have already said, we have a country with an exceptional biodiversity and rich cultural heritage. Let's remember that there are 117 life zones in the world, and Peru has 84 of them. So it's a very unique background for developing the ecotourism activity, especially in the Amazonian region that has closely tied to its conservation efforts with protected areas playing a crucial role. Now, let's talk about the United Nations educational, scientific, and cultural organizations, known also as UNESCO. Let's remember that um, one of the main points or this particularly agency of the United Nations focused on protecting areas. Like, for example, in Peru, it started with the Manu National Park in 1973. And this was one of the first instances that allow the ecotourism to grow. Now, during the evolution of the ecotourism in Peru, it has been shaped by both global trends and local initiatives. Let's remember that sustainability is one of the main topics that it's being talked globally. So there is an increased balance between tourism members with environmental protections to ensure equitable distribution of benefits to local communities. In Peru, it has been a particularly main point of concern due to the um, original communities. But this is, of course, a promising tool for sustainable development in Peru. Now, it has also shown great impact um, in biodiversity conservation, but also in local community development. It has provided an alternative of livelihoods for a community that were previously dependent on extractive activities. Let's remember that Peru focuses its main focus is um, through the extractive activities. So ecotourism is a very great opportunity to expand the economical different economical sectors. So um, and it has also offered alternative land uses in terms of economic value, highlight the sector potential for sustainable development. And now let's talk about also private conservation areas that it has also has been promoted by UNESCO. This particularly private conservation areas has increased in a 15% since 2001, thanks to, and well, this is information provided by el Servicio Nacional de Áreas Naturales Protegidas por el Estado, also known as CERNAMP. Now, there are also certain challenges and opportunities. One of the main basic challenges is try to balance the economic benefit with conservation goals. That it's, of course, not easy, but well, it's a great opportunity that we have improved. Such, for example, Esquercioglu notes that the potential of bird watching tourism in Peru could provide significant economic benefits while promoting conservations. And now it's also very important to involve the indigenous community in ecotourism, especially on the planning and management activities, because it can lead to create more cultural sensitive and sustainable practices. In Peru, it's also not very common, so there is certain like indigenous communities are not used to this, so it's very important to involve them in these practically new practices. So, but one of the main challenges in Peru is particularly the infrastructure and accessibility issues that persist through a very long time, uh, specifically due to the region geography. So for that, thankfully, the Peruvian government has initiated a program to improve eco-friendly transportation options to key ecotourism destinations, with a focus on electric vehicles and also improve public transportation. A particular case that we can talk about here in this point, it's Posada Amazonas Lodge, that it's located in Tambopata National Reserve. That it's a very beautiful community-based ecotourism. It has a very important partnership between with an indigenous community called SEHA community, and it has formed a partnership with a private company, and thankfully it has achieved a balance between conservation and economic benefits. This case, some key lessons about this case is the importance of long-term partnership between communities and private sector. That it's one of the main points that the government, private sector, and the community around should work along with and especially together. It is also key to it is also important to highlight the investment in sustainability initiatives and also the diversification of ecotourism, offering different types of interest for visitors. And this is like a new trend globally and also locally. Little by little, and it has increased the focus on generative tourism practices. The integration of technology for enhanced visitor experiences and monitoring is really important, and it has also, and it should be. We should focus also on the development of niche ecotourism markets, as I have already previously highlighted. Bird watching and botany tours are one of the main focuses in this point. Peru has a very great potential growing in the ecotourism sector. And according to a report from the Inter-American Development Bank in 2020, the sustainable tourism activity, including, of course, the ecotourism, because there are different kinds of sustainable tourism activities, this could lead to the creation up to 150,000 new jobs in Peru for 2030. So basically, this is a great opportunity for the Peruvian community, and especially for these original communities. So ecotourism has a great, it is a great sector that has an enormous ability to generate economic benefits while preserving also the natural cultural heritage that is very rich in Peru. So, well, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you like this presentation.